The eagle has landed.
There we go.
Spencer Nelson joining the program.
Is that what does an eagle sound like? Does anyone know what noise an eagle makes?
It's like a screech. Yeah, it's...
Caca is like a crow. For a vulture.
I know. I did it, and I was like, when you said the eagle has landed, I was like, what does an eagle sound like? It is a screech. I don't think I can duplicate that, though. I'm gonna not put the listeners through that.
Yeah, probably best to do that for our audience.
Not the best impression.
Yeah.
Hey, so let's get right to what's happening Saturday. I mean, I know we will get to your thoughts about tonight's matchup because you had some, and you've seen some great battles with Nevada over the years. But on Saturday, they're going to do a great tribute to Stew Morrill, put his name on the court, and just your relationship with Stew Morrill now and how it started out.
Yeah, Saturday's going to be an awesome day. Not a lot, really gets to Stew. He's seen a lot, experienced a lot, but I can tell that this is really touching to him, and this really means something, and he appreciates it greatly. My relationship started with him. I mean, I was recruited by Larry, right? Stacy and Kevin Dustin recruited me to Utah State. That's who I signed with. And then the summer before my freshman year, Larry went to Iowa State. And so we didn't have a coach, and Stu ended up getting hired from Colorado State and coming in, and it was exactly the way it was supposed to be for me. He was the perfect coach. He was old school. He was tough. He was direct. But he was a big man's coach, right? He had some great guards, and he had a great offensive mind. But coming in, I mean, his offense was geared around post guys. And so really fortunate to learn, to develop a back-to-the-basket game that was much better than what I had in high school, and then be in the system. And, man, he knows the game. He taught the game. He instilled certain principles about the game into his players, and turned out to be an incredible ride. I mean, I think you have to say he's one of the most successful coaches in the last 50 years for sure. I haven't looked at records or anything, but just what he did at Utah State, the consistency, the NCAA and NIT appearances, phenomenal, to where my relationship with him always was, I always had a really good relationship. I was totally comfortable talking to him. He had no problem yelling at me. By the time I was a senior, I had no problem yelling back at him. And then once he, done, I touched base with him every summer, would come back and talk to him. And then when he retired, it was really interesting to see kind of that transformation, to where it was almost like you didn't notice it when he was coaching, but the minute he retired, about 800 pounds got taken off of his shoulders, and he was just as carefree as all get out, and even more enjoyable to be around. So I love talking with Coach. Still touch base with him a couple times a year, and if he's in town, then we see him, and I know he's doing really well, and he's enjoying retirement. That's for sure.
So we got to ask, do you have a favorite, just Stew Morrill memory, just favorite moment from, the whole time you've known him? Just, is there any moment that sticks out, like that's just, your favorite moment, interaction you've had with Coach?
I mean, they have to go into categories. Favorite category where he was just angry. I've got numerous ones of those. Favorite category of him celebrating. Favorite category of just defining moment. I look back, one of my favorite moments of college basketball was, and it may sound so funny to most people or so weird, but one of probably my favorite moment was after the Pacific loss at home, when we were nationally ranked on national TV. I think we were nationally ranked. Maybe we weren't nationally ranked. We were on national TV. It was my senior year, and we were up by 8 with 32 seconds to go, and we blow it, and we lose the game. And, I mean, devastating game. And we come back into the locker room, and it was the defining moment of that season, to where I gave a speech, and then Coach gave a speech, and he guaranteed that we were going to win the Big West Championship tournament and go to the NCAA tournament. And it was like we were devastated, but at the same time, we left there like so determined that we were going to win this thing. It's kind of a weird moment, but that moment when Coach guaranteed, and obviously we didn't go tell anyone or anything like that, but he was like, we are going to win the Big West Championship and go to the NCAA tournament. And it was a cool, it kind of cliche, but it was one of those like Disney movie experiences to where everyone, felt it, and then it ended up happening. And so, I mean, those were probably one of my favorite moments, but I mean, the day before the BYU game when Coach would just be so high-strung and so stressed out, and he'd blow up on us because we weren't taking it as serious as he thought we should, and he'd kick the ball into the 40th row, and just so many good memories.
What was your reaction when you heard they were going to put his name on the court?
I knew there were workings behind the scene. I first heard about this as potential years ago. Ross Peterson, who was very instrumental in getting all of this done, kind of approached me and kind of asked for my support or asked how I could be involved. And I said, I'm happy to do whatever. It's great, makes sense. It's hard, other people may have different opinions if you're older. Being 43, my generation is, I know Coach Tueller, I know Kahn, and I'm aware of those guys, and then I'm really aware of Larry and what he did, and Stew, and then everyone since Stew. And so you're kind of biased towards what you know, and it's hard to know what other coaches did back in the 70s and the 60s and that type of stuff. But at least looking at college basketball, the environment that Stew was coaching in, the way the game was, and everything, he absolutely what he did for Utah State, athletics as a whole, the university, but then just the basketball program. I mean, he took it to a whole nother level, and it was awesome. So my thought was, yeah, that makes sense.
So how much, I guess, I know this is a topic that gets talked about a lot, but how much different is, the environment of college basketball? Just how much has changed as far as, coaches sticking around, players sticking around? I guess, is it even like the same sport in some ways as it was obviously back when Stew was coaching?
No, it's not. What it reminds me of now, it's professional athletics. I mean, it's not amateur athletics anymore. It's professional athletics. It reminds me very much of my first year when I went to Germany and started getting paid. I was talking to someone not long ago. It was actually Stephen Ashworth's dad. I was talking to him, and he said, look, in any relationship, if two friends go into a business deal together and money gets involved, that relationship changes. It just does. In a family relationship, if a sibling borrows money from them, that has the potential to really change that relationship. And so anytime money comes into something, and I'll say a relationship, it changes the dynamic of that relationship. And so with collectives and NIL, but mainly collectives, honestly, I don't think the NIL everyone says NIL, but it's not really NIL. It's the collectives that are making the biggest difference. When I first played professionally in Germany, there was a huge mind shift after playing for a few months. I had to kind of refocus on why I was doing it, why I was playing, and it may sound really corny and weird, but at Utah State it was so easy. There was this goal of wanting to be a professional, but equally right next to it was, playing for your family that were at the games, playing for your friends, representing the university. There was a lot of pride in that type of thing, and I still think that matters to a degree, but when I got to Germany, I realized, look, I'm playing for a paycheck. That's how they view me as an employee, and I have to perform. and my goal is to play really well so I can earn a higher paycheck. And if that's here in Germany, that's great. Or I ended up going to Italy the next year because I, fortunately did well. And I just went to the place that made the most sense, and a large reason of what made the most sense was the size of the paycheck. And so it really changed the dynamic, and it took a second for me to get used to that. That's where college basketball, in general, obviously not at all levels and not at all universities, but major college basketball, 100%. It's professional basketball now. There's no doubt about it. And so it changes the relationship the players have with the university and just the game itself. It's different. It is.
Spencer, we're coming up on a hard break here, but I just wanted to ask you real quick your thoughts about this year's team and what they're facing tonight with Nevada coming into town.
Phenomenal. This year's team is, against all odds. Everyone knows that Sprinkle has done an amazing job. They've got an incredible point guard that they brought from Montana State. They brought a great big man, and then some other guys have really stepped up. Local kid Mason Falsgrove, phenomenal. Isaac's done a good job. Josh Aduje. It's been a perfect storm for them, and no one thought, including the coaches and everyone else, no one thought that it was going to be this kind of a year. But the points of a Danny Sprinkle team they're really tough, and they're going to play really, really hard. And I've from my coaching days, from my playing days, and as I get older and older, those are the most important things. Shooting. This team is not a great shooting team, but they win. Skill. They're pretty skilled. I wouldn't say they're a really skilled team, but they still win, and it's because they're tough. And I think it's because their coach is tough. And don't ever underestimate toughness. So that I value that more and more and more, and they are a lot of fun to watch. Now, they're going to probably lose some more games. The Mountain West is loaded. They're going to lose a few more games in the Mountain West, but I think they've shown that they can compete for the championship and have a great opportunity at the postseason.
Spencer, it's always a pleasure catching up with you. We look forward to hearing you on the broadcast tonight and on these games for Utah State. Moving forward, it's fun having you there and hearing your voice and hearing your analysis.
Hey, thanks so much for having me. I'm sorry I'm late. I do apologize, and I even apologize more for that eagle sound I tried to make. You guys probably lost half your audience for a second with that, so I'm sorry. I'll do better next time.
Very good. Fair enough. Thank you, Spencer. Appreciate it.
Thank you.